Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Lyndon. I'm from iDreamsky, Executive Vice President and co-founder of iDreamsky. We are the largest independent mobile gaming publishing platform in China. So today I'm speaking about China, a market big enough for all of us. So before, some people might not know me, so who is iDreamsky? We're partner of many top game developer in the world, including Imagy, Halfbrick, Death Sister Cookie Run, Sega, Disney, Kilo, Subway Server, and We Made. We are the only publisher in China that have 100% coverage in distribution network in China. So we work with every single major app store in the highest tier, cooperation tier. So that includes Tencent, that includes their WeChat platform, their QQ platform, that includes 360, that includes Baidu, that includes any channels that you can think of in China. We work with them and direct relationship instead of going through aggregation relationship. This is our research report just recently published, 2014 Q1. On the top 20 most downloaded game, iDreamsky have 4 games on it, Fruit Ninja being number 2, Temple Run being number 3, Temple Run 1 being number 6, Subway Server being number 16. We are the only publisher that have 4 titles on this list. Actually, we have the most title on this list, and we're the only publisher in China that we have title on this list that is pure publishing. We only publish games. We don't develop ourselves and put it on the list. We work on your games. We make your game popular, not my game popular. This is another report, Enfodesk 2013 report. In terms of publishing revenue, iDreamsky is number 3, ranked on 13.1% in China. And on user base, we have 23.5% of the total mobile gaming population in China. That's a major difference between number 2 and number 3. So enough about iDreamsky. Let's jump into our topic today. So the way I'm going to do my topic today is I'm going to talk first, and then I have time for Q&A, as long as Cashew Connect allow us to do Q&A. So how big is China? So of course everyone knows China is huge, lots of people, 1.3 billion people living in China, and this is some of the data that we have saw last year. So last year, the China market is $1.8 billion in terms of mobile gaming revenue. The ARPU is $6 with 23% of them being mobile gamers on the smartphone side. And smartphone penetration is now at 47.2%. Lots of report indicates, in fact, our Q1 revenue have already shown a statistic that is going to justify this kind of growth is this year is going to be $4.1 billion. That's 100%. That's 100% growth. The ARPU is going to be $10 per user. If you do the math, that's another 40. That's like another almost 70%, 80% growth. Mobile gamer is going to increase from 23% penetration to 45%, and smartphone penetration is going to go up to 60%. Now, these numbers are not going to stop here. If we look at Japan, Japan's gamer penetration is at 69%, and Korea at 60%. That means 2014, we're still, in 2015 and even 2016, we're still going to see more penetration of mobile gamers. The world standard for first world country of smartphone penetration is 70%. That means we still have another 10% growth on the smartphone after 2014. And if we look at the ARPU of 2014, let's say we hit $10. But if we compare it with MMORPG industry in China, the ARPU is $60. So lots of room to go. There's still 6 more fold to go, bro. So super big market. Now, how do China sustain this kind of growth? From iDreamsky standard, we see that China can at least grow for another 3 to 4 years. But how are we going to grow for another 3 to 4 years? First of all is smartphone penetration. So still a lot of people is using feature phone. The graduation from feature phone to smartphone, there's still lots of room to grow. Multi-screen. We're seeing a lot of smart TV coming out in China. Tablet is still a fraction of the market, so there's still a lot of land grab to be done there. And last thing is in China, we believe that there's still going to be a smart devices upgrade evolution going on. Right now, across our 120 million MAU that we track every month, a lot of them are still on dual-core machines. A lot of them are still on dual-core machines. So right now we already core is the standard for the world, and maybe later on is octa-core. So we're going to see still a lot of growth in terms of just device growth. Ecosystem growth. We're seeing a lot of ecosystem growth this year with the population, with WeChat coming up, and then Ali is really working on this new social platform, Laiwang. Sina Weibo just went IPO, so they are working on their mobile gaming platform too. There's other people working in the space like Momo, YY.com. So they're all opening up their ecosystem for game developer to work within the ecosystem and capture revenue. Mobile payment is getting more and more being used. WeChat alone in Chinese New Year got 100 million paying users in just Chinese New Year through doing the Red Pocket viral campaign. So mobile payment, by having a deeper penetration of mobile payment and the growth of mobile payment is also going to open up the market even further, where people have easier way to pay for the games. But one more thing that is very important is if you go to China today, most of your phone will still be on edge, 2G. All right, that's true for most of the population in China. So we still have the graduation from 2G to 3G and 3G to 4G, and potentially 5G. So that is also going to sustain our growth. The other thing is gamer is no longer this guy. Gamer is the gamer that actually is making money now. They're now like at their 20s. They just came up from university. They're making money now. They're more capable of paying. They're more trained to pay by MMORPG or they play web game, or throughout since 2008 they've been playing mobile games. They're getting a higher user behavior of paying inside games now. Second of all, they're more educated, not just educated in terms of university or like degree, but they're more educated in their gaming taste. We're seeing a lot of changes in China back in 2011. Gamers doesn't know what they want. They play K-Java ported game to Android. 2012, we see gamer playing like Angry Bird, Fruit Ninja. Not very genre-specific game, but just in general a game. But now we see gamers starting to have their own taste. They're like, well, you know what? I like to play Fruit Ninja, but you know what? I really like to play racing game, or I really like to play RPG game. I really like to play fighting game. As gamers graduate, have their own taste, it creates market segment, and we can start seeing segmentized market where you can monetize on. But most important of all, we're seeing the shift of their screen use from PC to mobile. That shift is happening really fast. As their time spent on mobile more, it means we have more time to capture the revenue. In iDreamsky, we always believe one thing, and I think this is true for every game developer or publisher in the world, is our strategy is never about how much we can make from a user. Our strategy is always about how much time we can get away from a user. Because money changes. You can be rich today, you can be poor tomorrow. There's many reasons why you won't pay in the game. But if you capture time, time doesn't change. You have 24 hours, I have 24 hours, everyone has 24 hours. No matter how rich, how poor you are, you have 24 hours, right? But if you capture time, time is the essence. Time is going to be is in iDreamsky our monetization value. We never do our KPI based on like this game is going to make that much money. We'll always do our KPI and this game needs to rank up that much mileage in time from our user. So I don't think anyone would disagree that there's still a lot of room to grow in China. So what's the opportunity and challenge in China? So opportunity. I have just explained a little bit, but I'll get into more detail. So I think, previously China is going through a phase which is like, just launch game in China, localize it, you can make any game, push it to China is fine. Now you need to have a segment market strategy. And if you have a good game that is very, very clear that can be a genre defining game, like Temple Run, for example. Before Temple Run, there's no 3D runner, right? like a runner game is considered casual. Now runner suddenly becomes a genre within the casual games segment. So these are the type of games that will work really well in China these days. Like if you just launch a game that is not genre specific, it's hard to position your market. But today, if you have a game that you have a very clear position, you have a very clear segment that you're working on, and you think you can define that segment or further expose that segment to a bigger audience, this is the time to get into China, because you can become the Mario, you can become the Sonic Dash, you can become the Zelda of the market. People are looking specifically for genre-specific game. Are your game an RPG game? Is your game a strategy game? The second opportunity that I see more and more is smart TV. Share screen experience. Like, can your game be played on multi-screen? Can I carry on my game experience on my smart TV when I'm at home, when I'm in the sitting room? Can I carry on my experience to my tablet when I'm going to bed? Can I carry on my experience to mobile? I think that's going to be a big opportunity for any one of us, because there's so little content that utilize share screen technology. And smart TV is getting very popular in China. I think smart TV's growth is going to go faster in China than other places in the world, given the manufacturing power that is put behind it. Xiaomi just announced that their new Xiaomi TV is going to be a 4K television with a Mi TV installed into the TV. It's selling 4,999 renminbi. That's less than $1,000 US for a 4K 49-inch TV. That is going to sell like hotcakes. So smart TV is definitely something that we should all look at. Mobile bandwidth is penetrating really quickly. Last year we did a 5 million device data crunch. On average, an iPhone uses around 120 meg of mobile data a month. They uses around 2.3 gigabytes of data on Wi-Fi. On Android, we're seeing people using less mobile data, around 80 to 90 megs a month. And then on Wi-Fi, they're using 3.5 gigabytes. But this trend is changing very rapidly. We're seeing people with bigger mobile bandwidth consumption. We're seeing people that is graduating from 2G to 3G. We start seeing more connection on 4G within our network. So with this change to the network, to the ecosystem, it creates new opportunity. If you come to me 2 years ago, or even like a year ago, and say, hey Jeff, I have a game that is 200 megabytes. I want to publish it in China. Would you publish it? I would say no. Forget about it. I won't publish it. There's no way to do it. But suddenly now, 200 meg is possible. Now, if you think about increasing the size of your game, it means increasing the quality of the game. It means more possibility of creating your game. You can start doing 3D games. You can start doing high resolution games. You can start doing games that have even more physics to it. Another example, a couple years ago, when people come to me and say, hey Jeff, I have a game that requires you to be online all the time. Like, you have to be online when you play it. Again, I would say, not possible, friend. People is going to shut your game off because, people only have like 90 megabytes a month to play to use on their phone. If your game is consuming 40 megabytes, it's no brainer. He's not going to do it, right? But now we're seeing more and more of that happening. So again, leveraging the mobile evolution of China, the bandwidth evolution is going to be a key of a way to succeed in the market in the next couple months, or next 2 years at least. So what's the challenge? First of all, the window is closing. The window is closing. When I say the window is closing, actually I've been talking about this for a long time already. No one believes in me. A lot of people do not believe in me, and eventually they realize it's true. When iDreamsky started in the industry in 2009, and in 2011 we realized we were getting into mobile gaming. We have already defined it in 2011 to mid of 2013 will be the window for Western game coming into China. That pretty much happened. Since mid of 2013, the games that is published in China that hit to a blockbuster status that is from the West decreased really drastically. really drastically. We have around 300 to 400 applications every month of games coming to us and say, we want to publish the game in China. If I segmentize that out and say, like, let's look at the Western trench, all right? If I compare my 2012 data, 2013 data, and 2013-14 data of first quarter, and looking at my valuation report. Now, of course, games varies, but at the end of the day, my evaluation report shows in this year, in Q1, out of 100 Western games that we have looked at, there's far less games that my operation guy is willing to work on than 13, than 12. Because my operation guys are telling me, hey Jeff, high quality games no longer come from the West. I can get same high quality game from Korea or Japan, and they're more localized, I have less work to do. I can just focus on monetization. I don't need to change the theme. I don't need to reskin the game. All right? So this window is clearly closing. It's shutting down really quickly. So if you want to go into China, you have to go in this year. If you're not coming into China this year, the next year is going to be super tough. Unless you have a game like Clash of Clans or Candy Crush, then yeah, everyone will come to you. But if you don't have a game like that, then you have hard time even working with a publisher. Because to a publisher, it's like, I'd rather work on Korean games or Japanese games. The market is super competitive. Very, very competitive. If we look at the US market, it's a big market, but predominantly it's Western title. Predominantly it's Western title. Some Korean titles goes to the US, but very little Korean title. Very little Japanese title go to the US too. So predominantly you have one major player in the American market. If you look at Korean market, if you look at the top chart, again, mostly it's Korean games. Some Japanese games, some Chinese games, but you're still talking about two players playing in that market. If you look at Japan, it's just Japan, right? But if you look at China, you will see games from Korea, you will see games from Japan, you will see games in all corners going into the same market, fighting for the same pie. So it's very, very competitive. You're not just fighting with your fellow American, you're not fighting with fellow European, you're fighting with the Korean. Like, China is kind of like World War again, with 8 countries coming in and to try to do their land grab, all right? So it's very, very competitive. But most important of all is, as we see the market graduate, Chinese developers are really amping up their capability. They know how to monetize, they know how to market, they know the theme really well. They can create like a local theme for the game. So in order for a game to succeed in the market, you have to be able to localize your theme. Now, I'm not talking about like translating your game, sending it to some translation company and getting into simplified Chinese or traditional Chinese. I'm talking about actually localizing from the content, localizing from the monetization, localizing from marketing, localized for the operation. You need to have all 4 up the T. Like, you need to be able to fight against the local players if you want to have your game being a big success. And we all know, in the mobile gaming industry, it's winner takes all. You either did it or you didn't do it, or you lose, right? There's no middle ground. There's no gray area, right? So I think that 3 challenge is a huge challenge for anyone going to China. But if you have that in mind and create your strategy to China with that 3 challenge in mind, I think you're going to have a good chance to still succeed in China. And of course, if anyone wants to come into China and is looking for a partner, my ear's always open. Thank you. So, anyone have questions? Am I allowed to take questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a question, please stand up.
Anil Bhatmari from India. What kind of games are they playing? What kind of, any special characteristics the Chinese are displaying?
Right now I would say TCG is very popular. Since MT being the first generation, and then after that there was a couple reiteration for a couple games. I think TCG is a very crowded market now. And if you want to go into the TCG market, you really need to look at Chinese TCG games. Like, it's very different from the Korean, from the Japanese. But I think there's a lot of other segments, a lot of other genres that is untapped. There is no racing game in China that have reached like mass population level. There is no RPG is already kind of populated. Like the side-scrolling segment. But I'm seeing Korean, Korea right now, a lot of 3D RPG, like action RPG. So I think that's going to be a segment that people is going to work on too. But other segment, like very traditional segment, people is not like most Chinese developer when they work on the game, they want to work on the highest output game, right? They want to work on the game that is going to make them like $60 US per paying user, right? But I think there's a lot of opportunity making like mid-core games, like racing games, simple fighting games, puzzle game. There is a couple puzzle game. Tencent make a couple puzzle game, but I'm seeing some upticks in puzzle games. I'm seeing, there's a lot of. If you look at the top 100 chart, right? Right now it's very very single. Like there's only a couple genres, like RPG, TCG, and then strategy game, right? And then a couple casual games, a lot of runner games, right? But other than that, is other segments are not defined. So I would suggest everyone to work on those segments, especially if you're not from China, because the popular segment is already very populated with the Chinese developer, which is going to be very very tough for a foreigner to capture that market.
And regulatory-wise, it's easy as compared to television and other segments?
Which one?
Regulatory-wise, in terms of regulations.
Regulation?
Yeah, in terms of you have to go through SAFT, you have to go through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, at this very moment, there is no clear regulation for publishing games in China. You can, it's not like the MMORPG days where, you have to go to register with 2 government authorization. If you didn't get the approval, you can publish your game. Right now, it's still kind of open, but the government is starting to tell publishers and developers and say like, you should register with us, at least submit your game to us, and then you can publish your game. But there are a lot of rumors saying that there will be regulation, but I think the regulation is not going to be as tough as the MMORPG industry because it's not really doable. So I think it's much better in that sense. If you have a publisher, if you work with a publisher or a partner in China, he should have the resource to get you those certificates relatively easy. I think right now for foreign games, the time frame is around 3 to 6 months to complete all the registration. I think the bigger problem is not the regulation. The bigger problem is trademark. It's trademark. Like if you're building a game with a brand, like when we work on Fruit Ninja, trademark is taken away already. When we work on Temple Run, trademark taken away already. Like they thought they registered a trademark, right? They thought like, oh, I work with a IP lawyer and he registered trademark for me everywhere. But no, he didn't register China. Like if you want to register a China trademark, you need to be registering in China. And you need to register the Chinese name, not the English name. Trademark is a big issue. Like we're seeing a lot of situation where we want to bring in the game, but someone else took the trademark already, made a clone, and considered themselves as the legitimate copy. At least by the government standard, it's the legitimate version of the game, but they're not.
Hi, Jeff. My name is Andrew. I was wondering if you could talk about the pattern of in-app purchases, especially among Chinese gamers, because I think it's quite different. For example, I play IMT, and there's like a monthly subscription, and then you can buy packs and things like that. So what's the pattern of in-app purchases, say, compared to like Western gamers?
Yes, the monetization philosophy or the way user pays in China is very different from the way the user plays in the West. There's a lot of things you need to consider, but there's no general term that I can MT is one type of game, Temple Run is another type of game. You can't apply the same tricks you did on MT onto Temple Run, but there are some common philosophy. One common philosophy that because iDreamsky, when we publish a game, instead of like telling you what to do and telling you to change your game, what we do is we take in your source code. Like every game we publish in 2013 and now in 2014, we take in source code from developer and we actually make all the changes for them. So they don't need to worry about like making all the localization, changing the game anyway, the way we want it. So one thing that we realized with most Western games, the monetization will be more passive by Chinese term, will be more passive. For example, like Fruit Ninja. When you did the in-app purchase, they put their store within like 2 layers down the game, right? They put it like after you finish a game, you can see after you finish each section, there's a store button that you can click on and you can buy stuff. And then within if you start the game, you see the splash screen, then you see the game splash screen, and then get to the main menu. And in the main menu, there's one fruit that you slice. After you slice that fruit, you see the store, right? It's in like the others or some miscellaneous thing. So that is commonly a problem that we need to fix. So what we do is with most of our games, we move the store to the front page, right? The minute you start the game, like the first image after the splash screen of the game, you see the storefront, right? You need to be more aggressive in China. What I'm saying is you need to be more aggressive. For example, we're doing like in Fruit Ninja, what we also realized is a lot of people didn't know that you can buy blades. A lot of people is like, why am I buying blades? Like most of mostly people's logic is like, oh, if you go to an RPG game, right, you see a blade that's a plus 10 strength and give you fire extra build. Most gamer will understand that, right? But when in China you're dealing with a lot of non-gamers, right? Then to them it's like, okay, you ask me for 6 renminbi or you ask me for $2. What do test plus 10 strength and fire element means, right? Well, in a real world situation, you won't buy something that you don't know what it does for you, right? So what we do is like we will have another way of like you can rent the blade for in-game currency that you don't need purchase, or we let you to like try out the blade. For example, like in Fruit Ninja, we did events like for every week you can try out this one blade that you are supposed to buy it, and you can use it for 3 times. And then after 3 times, we'll say, hey, do you like the blade? If you like the blade, buy it, right? You need to be aggressive in that way. Like you need to be more aggressive with your monetization. Other thing is, the one thing that most Western developer or foreign developer, when they come to China, is they forgot about, because China is not Android, it's not Google Play, nor is iOS dominant. It's actually like a Wild Wild West. In the US mindset, you will always set your items based on $1, $2, $3, $4. Every jump is $1, right? But because in China we're using SMS payment or we're using like normal online payment, so you don't need to have that tier anymore. You can actually create item that is like 10 cents. You can create an item that is 50 cents, right? So that is a great way of converting user for us. So like for Temple Run, for example, we're sending, like after a while you play the game, if we find out that you're not paying like for a week, but you're still playing the game, we actually give you like a special event and say, hey, you can now use 10 cents US, right, to buy what should be like $3 US, one-time offer, right? And it's all about converting paying users, right? Once you convert them, no matter it's 10 cents or it's 1 penny, as long as you take 1 penny from them, just one little bit of money from them, then they're on that slope of paying more and more and more and more, right? So that's also a strategy that everyone can think of is, when you go to China, you can actually create items, that is very, very dirt cheap just to get your conversion up. Yep.
Okay, we're out of time here, but
Okay.
thank you, Jeff.